All right, for the next section, we're going to figure out what some of these are, and I think, well, there's more than one way to do it, but I think one of the best ways is going to be just thinking through it logically at first. And once we get past the logic and we get into some of the crazy ones, I'm going to show you the shortcut on the calculator. Now, I would go ahead and show you the shortcut on the calculator now. However, some of them are faster without the calculator, if you could just think your way through it. For example, the first one. So number one, get these chairs out of the way. Number one, I'm going to rewrite this one. We're not going to rewrite all of these, but I am going to rewrite number one. And we'll start by drawing a heart on our paper. Starting with the 2, go to the x, and the 32. So what that means is 2 to some power gives me 32. Now, there is a way to solve it using a logarithm, but I'm not going to use a logarithm. I'm just going to think through it logically. 2 times itself, a certain number of times, is going to give me 32. So 2 to the first is 2. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 2 times 2, that's 8. Multiply that by 2 again, you get 16. Multiply that by 2 again, you get 32. So it's 2 to the 5th power. So we figured this one out without doing anything crazy with a logarithm. So the answer is 5. I'm really going to start skipping around on some of these. I probably should have them in a better order. But I want to hit the ones that we can do without a calculator first. So I think we could go to number 2. 2 to some power gives me 8. Actually, we pretty much just answered this one. You probably already know it. 2 to some power gives me 8. That means if I multiply a specific number of 2's together, I'll get 8. I just showed you the answer by accident. Dang it! Anyway, I'm not going to tell you what the answer to number 2 is. But if you multiply a certain number of 2's together, you will get 8. Again, there's a way to do it on the calculator. I'll show you in a minute. All right, you may blurt the answer out now. Do you know it? Oh, good. Yeah, it is 3. Good job. I'm going to skip number 3 and I'm going to skip number 4. And I'm going to go to number 5. Now, you're going to do them all eventually. But I'm going to hit the ones, like I said, I want to hit the ones that you can do kind of in your head. So 9 to some power is going to give me 3. Oh, this goes back to the thing I showed you a minute ago. 9 to some power gives me 3. Well, I don't know what it is. I'm wondering, though, what can I do to a 9 to get a 3? Well, I could square root it. I can take the square root of 9 and get a 3, right? Because the square root of 9 is 3. Knowing the square root of 9 is 3, this exponent is really a 1/2. Now, if you didn't know that, if that wasn't one of those things that you recognized, I want you to keep this in mind. Square root of 9 is 3, and that's the same thing as saying 9 to the 1/2 is equal to 3, and that's where that 1/2 came from. Okay, I'm going to show you a ridiculous, crazy one, a couple more normal ones, and then I'll show you the shortcut on the calculator. Let's go to number 7. This one's kind of crazy. Let's draw the heart. 7 to some power gives me 1/49. People used to get so mad at me over this problem. I had no idea where this came from. 7 to some power is going to give me 1/49. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, let's ignore the craziness for a second. Let's forget it. 7 to what power is going to give me 49? 7 to what power? You're right. Oh, you might be wrong. I really can't read your mind right now because you're watching the video. However, the answer is 2. Now, don't move on to the next problem because we're not finished. 7 to the second power gives me 49, but if I had 7 to the negative second power, it would move that 49 into the denominator. I'm not sure if anyone's ever told you this. I'm actually sure someone has, but you may have forgotten it. So let's come over here for just a second. If I had 7 to the negative 2, that would be the same thing as, let's flip it over, 1/7 squared. Well, 7 squared is 49. So instead of it being positive 2, it's actually negative because it flipped it over. It's just one of those little math tricks I wanted to show you. Let's erase this with my fist. Okay, I'm going to do number 8. Oh my goodness, what number am I pointing to? Well, if you don't know the answer to this, stop and count your fingers and thumbs, total them all up, and that'll be it. So there's a 10 right here, understood 10. If it's not written for these, it's a 10. Later on, it's not. That's a different type of problem. We'll cross that bridge later. Don't panic. 10 to some power gives me 10,000. Don't know what it is, but there is an easy way to find it. I just showed you, actually. So 10 to some power is going to give me 10,000. There are 4 zeros right here. 10 times 10 times 10 times 10, that is 10,000. So x is equal to 4. Which means We could probably do number 16 in our head. And I believe, just kind of glancing through, there's a couple others I think we could do in our head. I think number 11 is pretty easy. I think number 11 is ridiculously easy. I think number 9 is easy too. Let's do it. You know what? I have an idea. You're probably jumping on number 11, weren't you? Let's do 9, 10, and 11, then I'll show you the calculator shortcut. Okay, now in a minute in this video, the bell's going to ring. It's not your bell. Don't get up and run out of your seat, okay? Okay, let's do number 9. N to the x equals 1. Now the directions on the section said solve for x. Well, okay. Don't panic because you have two variables. N to the x equals 1. You're not looking for n. You're looking for x. We've addressed this. Assuming that n can be anything except 0, big assumption, but we'll go with it. N is anything except 0 itself. Anything to the 0 power is 1. So x must be equal to 0. N to the 0 power is equal to 1. As long as n itself is not 0, then you get that crazy mess I told you about in the last video. 0 to the 0, and it gets crazy. Long story short, pretty much anything to the 0 power is 1. So we know it has to be 0. Okay, let's do this one. 2 to some power gives me a half. 2 to some power gives me a half. Okay. You know what? I'm hating that 1/2 right now. I wish it was just a 2. Let's pretend for a second that it is just a 2. But that fraction's bugging me. So we're going to do that. Is that legal? Nope, but we're going to do it anyway. I'll fix it back. 2 to what power would give me 2? Well, it stayed the same, so x is equal to 1. Okay? Well, it didn't stay the same. Instead of it being 2, it got reciprocated. It got flipped over. And so it's 1/2 instead. And if it flipped it over, I mentioned this a few minutes ago. If it flipped it over, it's a negative. Okay, now if you're lost with all these little exponent laws and all these little exponent rules you've not seen in months or years, do not panic. Don't panic. It's okay. 11 to some power is going to give me 121. 11 to some power is going to give me 121. 11 times itself how many times? It gives me 121. If you know your multiplication tables through at least 11, you will know this one. 11 squared is 121. Okay. Using a lot of these methods, we can figure out the rest of them, and I would love to. But if you will look below this section, it actually shows you the shortcut, but it's written in math language, and there are no numbers, and it looks a little confusing. So it's there for you to look at, but I'm also going to show you on the calculator, and we're going to do number 3 on the calculator. So you grab a calculator, and you're going to type in what I'm about to write, and I'll show you actually on the calculator itself. Whenever you don't know the answer to a logarithmic equation, you will type it this way. You will type log of that number, which in this case is 5, and you will divide it by the log of the other number. Okay, if you have, and most of the calculators are this way, if you have one of the newer calculators, there's just 3 or 4 that may not be this way. Not your bell. If you have one of the yellow calculators or one of the black ones, then the parentheses automatically pop up when you do that. So make sure you close your parentheses out. Type that in your calculator and it will give you the answer. Most of you have probably already found it to be 0.25, but let me show you real quick, just in case you need to see it. So it is log, see where the log is? It's right there beside the 7 on my calculator. Log 5 divided by log 625. Close your parentheses appropriately and you get 0.25. That's the same thing as 1/4. So if it's one of these that's confusing and you look at it and you don't know what you're doing, then that's what you do. So x is equal to 0.25, which really means, in good logarithmic language, it really means this. It means that if I had 625 and I raised it to the 1/4 power, I would get 5, which really means that the 4th root of 625 is 5. 5 times 5 times 5 times 5, 625, in case you didn't know that. Okay, let's do number 4. using the same stuff on the calculator. If you don't know this answer off the top of your head, here's an easy way to find it. Log of 256. It's always that number. I'm going to call it the big number, and by big I don't mean the large number, I mean font big, like 12-point font as opposed to 6-point font. It's the big number. See, 5 was written larger, with a larger font than 625. So it's the log of the big number, tall number, divided by the log of that number, which is called the base. So the log of 5 divided by the log of 625. The log of 256 divided by the log of the base. This shortcut on the calculator, once you get the hang of it, it's going to come in so handy. X equals, when you type that in, you'll have an answer. A lot of these will come in handy because you're going to have decimals, ridiculous decimals that you couldn't do in your head. I mean, some of these you can do in your head. Some of these you can't. By the way, the answer is 4. At this point, you're probably ignoring me and you're flying through the rest of these. That is amazing and great. Feel free to. I'm going to wait just a second while you keep working, and then I'm going to write a few answers up. And then we're going to go to the next section, which basically is going to be the exact same thing, only you have to use the calculator because they're going to be decimals. And in the process of doing so, you'll realize that those decimals mean you're going to have to round, and you got to round. In my class, we'll round to 2 decimal places, so the nearest hundredths. So take a minute, go ahead and finish the few that we've not done, and in about 20 seconds, I'm going to start writing some answers up. Don't wait for me to write the answers up. You can do this. Make sure you understand the procedures in the calculator. I have a feeling some of y'all are wanting to ask me about number 6, though, so I will tell you this. Log of 1/3, 1 divided by 3, divided by the log of 9. And you probably know this, but just in case you need to see it in the calculator, here it is. Log of 1/3 divided by the log of 9. You get negative 1/2. Negative 1/2. Okay. I'm going to start writing some answers up in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. These answers are so you can make sure you are on the right track with your calculator procedures. It's not just so you can copy these. Please use them maturely. This is going to be 1/3. Some of you are probably like, I didn't get 1/3. I got 0.333333. Same thing. Same thing. This one is going to be negative 1/4. This one is negative 3. So, negative 2. Oh my goodness, we don't even need a calculator for this one. If you feel like you need a calculator for this one, you don't have to do all the crazy mess you've been doing. Just simply type that in right there. Log of 100. Log 100. Close your parentheses. Actually, it'll work if you don't close your parentheses. You'll get 2. There we go. There's the next section. There will be, I believe, 2 more videos that deal with the rest of the stuff. It's going to be the next section, so go ahead and go to the next video, please.